Hello, this is Wiz Watson, and my goal is to empower you. So let's look at least common multiple. The least common multiple, otherwise known as LCM, is the smallest number that a set of numbers can divide into evenly. In solving for least common multiple, it helps if you know how to build a factor tree, prime factorizations, and multiplication tables 1 through 12 up to 12 times 12. So let's look at the least common multiple between the numbers 8 and 20. We want to find the smallest number that each number divides into evenly. So that's the least common multiple. We can find multiples by just multiplying these two numbers together, but we want the least common multiple, and the best way to do that is with a factor tree. So the factor tree goes as follows. We break 8 down into its prime factors. 8 goes 4 times 2. 2 is a prime number, so that's one prime factor, and 4 is 2 times 2, all prime numbers. So the prime factorization of 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. We do the same thing for 20. And if you don't know how to break a number down, one of the secrets that I use is I look for patterns. I know 20 has a 0 on the end, so it must be divisible by 10. So that's 2 times 10. 2 is prime. 10 is 5 times 2. These are all primes. And so we use these prime numbers to find the least common multiple of 8 and 20. So what we do is we have to account for how many 2's we have. We have 1, 2, 3 2's max, and we have 1 5. So the least common multiple, LCM, is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Because we're going to account for all of those numbers. So when we account for all of those numbers, we got 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8 times 5, which is 40. So the LCM for 8 and 20, the smallest number that they both divide into evenly, is 40. So we can find the LCM for a group of numbers. Let's look at the LCM, the least common multiple of 15. I'm going to spread them out because I'm going to do factor trees on each one of them, 30 and 50. We know 15 is just 5 times 3. These are both prime numbers, and as a reminder, a prime number is a number that can be divided by only one and itself. If we look at 30, have that 0 on the end, so I know that can be broken down to a 10. 3 times 10, where 3 is prime. 10 factors into the primes, 5 and 2, so those are prime. And so 50, once again it has a 0 on the end. I'm going to use a 10 here. 5 times 10, 5 is prime. 10 is 5 times 2, both prime. And see, I have at max 1 3, I have 2 5's, and I have 1 2. So what I'm looking at for my LCM, it should be how many 2's? 1 2, so that's just 2 times 3. How many 3's? 1 3 times 3, and 2 5's. Right? 2 5's, so it's 5 times 5. And that's how I do it. I just go ahead and I look at what I have there, and I want to take the maximum of all of them, and that's a neat way to find the least common multiple. So 2 times 3 times 5 times 5, that's 2 times 3, 6, 5 times 5, 25, 6 times 25, 150. So my least common multiple, LCM, is 150. So now I'm just going to check that. Yes, by further inspection, I see that is correct. The least common multiple is 150. So feel free to pause the video and find the LCM between 3, 6, and 12. Okay, 3 is already prime. 6 breaks down into the primes 3 times 2. 12 breaks down into 4 times 3. 3 is prime. 4 breaks down into 2 times 2, both prime. I'm going to count for what I have. I'm just going to bring this 3 down here for completeness. I have 1 3 and 2 2's. 1 2 1. So I'm going to go. My LCM should be 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12. What I'm saying is that 3, 6, and 12 all divide into 12 evenly, and that is the smallest number that they all divide into evenly. And I'm going to check that. Yes, I can check that visually. I know 3, 6, and 12 all go into 12, and 12 is the smallest number that 12 can divide into evenly. Let's look at the following example. Feel free to pause the video. I want to find the LCM between 10, 12, and 14. 10 breaks down into 5 times 2, both prime. We know 12 breaks down into 4 times 3. 3 is prime. 4 is 2 times 2, both prime. I got 14. It breaks down into 7 times 2, both prime. So I have how many 2's? I have 2 2's. I have 1 3. I have a 5 and a 7. So that's going to give me my LCM, which is going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. So that's 2 times 2, 4, times 3, 12, times 5, 60. 60 times 7. 7 times 6, 42, add a 0, or 20. So I'm going to check that. Yes, by a closer inspection, I find that the LCM is in fact 420. So now for the most important step. The most important step you do yourself, that is you practice. And the time to practice is right away as possible. At the latest, you want to wait a couple of hours. If you wait a couple of days, that's far too late. You will have probably forgotten most of this, which looks pretty easy, might look pretty easy at this point. And how long do you practice? There's a secret that I use. You practice until you can do one challenge problem. Maybe a problem like this. You do one challenge problem without making mistakes. Then you know you have the concept down. But remember, no matter how much you check your answers, you'll still find that sometimes you'll still make a mistake, and that's okay. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. Please like, subscribe, share, support.